Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. In this video, I'm going to be revealing the Democrats or Joe Biden's strategy to defeat Donald Trump this come November. But before we begin with this video, I do want to mention channel memberships. The link to the channel memberships will be pinned in the comment section down below, or you can find them in the description section, or you can just click the join button on my channel page, which is what you're seeing on your screen right now. And we have custom perks, custom emojis. Become a member today. As we all know, Joe Biden won the 2024 election, defeating former President Donald Trump with 303 electoral votes, which is the same exact amount of electoral votes Donald Trump got in the 2016 election. Now, Democrats are going to change their strategy and adjust from their previous strategy of the 2020 election and completely change it from the 2024 election because things have changed. And I know things feel like the same exact thing. I know it may be similar because we have two of the same candidates between Biden and Trump in a rematch, so you may think that things haven't really changed. But if you actually take it, dive and take a deep look into things, they actually have changed quite a bit. Let me point out a few differences that we had in 2020, which we won't be seeing in the 2024 election. Number one is COVID. We're not having COVID again in 2024, I don't think. That's one difference that we had in 2020. And another difference is Joe Biden won't get the same amount of turnout among black voters that he got in 2020. He's not going to crack the 90% he got in 2020. And I expect a lot of them to regret voting for him, and they're not going to turn out for him. I think he might drop to as low as 70%. He has done nothing to help their communities, and considering his approve rating, it's just so low. That's likely not gonna happen. He's not gonna get the same turnout he got amongst blacks that he got in 2020. And then another difference is that we have more third-party candidates in the 2024 election than we did in 2020, which is one big reason Trump won the 2016 election, was because the third-party candidates helped him. The more third-party candidates there is, the more it helps Donald Trump. And the less third-party candidates is, the more it helps Joe Biden. Now, 2020 is the complete opposite of 2024. 2024, we're having more third-party candidates, and we had less in 2020, which is going to help Donald Trump. Undecided voters, independents, have more options than other Joe Biden. The reason why Joe Biden won the 2020 election was because he had Taylor Swift endorse him, which helped him with the youth voters. Another reason is that he had high turnout among black voters. Kamala Harris helped him with that. And then another reason was because COVID. Voters wanted change. Americans wanted change in leadership, which is why they abandoned Donald Trump. And all of those things I just named are going to be completely different in 2024 besides the Taylor Swift thing. Taylor Swift is actually kind of a hot topic right now because she may end up endorsing Joe Biden again, which would actually help him. And it's actually might be a Democrat strategy as well with the youth vote, which could be the tipping point for Joe Biden to defeat Trump this come November. Joe Biden's official strategy and the Democrats' official strategy to defeat Donald Trump this come November of 2024 is to get high turnout among their own party. Quote unquote, save democracy. Save democracy is the Democrats' strategy to defeat Trump in 2024. And they're hoping the phrase quote unquote save democracy is going to bring enthusiasm among the Democratic Party and get them to get higher turnout to prevent Trump from getting elected to his second and final term. Even though we are a republic, Democrats like to use the word democracy, which we are more of a republic rather than a democracy. And so considering Biden's approval rating is just so low, he's underwater by net negative 15 percentage points, which his lowest point was negative 17, and he's only approved of by 39%, and he's under 40%, which is just so bad. And every time I say Joe Biden, it's so negative because take a look at his handling of the border crisis. It's bad. Taking a look at his foreign policy. It's bad. Taking a look at the economy. It's bad. Inflation. It's bad. It's all bad when it comes to Joe Biden. And considering that, the independents were basically the tipping point to help Joe Biden win the 2020 election. And basically the undecided voters that voted for Joe Biden in 2020, a lot of them will switch over to independents and third-party candidates like RFK Jr., like Cornel West, like Marianne Williamson, I believe, and there's more third-party options, which earlier I stated in this video, which is why it helped Trump in 2016. But because third-party candidates were so limited in 2020, it favored Joe Biden. this election is looking more like 2016 than it is going to look like 2020 is because it's similar to 2016. We have third-party candidates that can spoil the election, and it's going to hurt Biden. It's going to help Trump because you have these undecided voters that favored Biden in 2020 that will regret their decision for voting for him, and they will turn out for a third-party candidate. Those undecided voters that went to Biden in 2020 don't have to go to Donald Trump in 2024. They don't have to vote for Trump. They can just go to RFK Jr. They can just go to Cornel West. They don't have to turn out for Trump, but they still won't vote for Joe Biden. And that only helps Donald Trump. And so what the Democrats are trying to run on in 2024 election to defeat Trump is quote-unquote save democracy, and a vote for Joe Biden is a vote to prevent Trump. A vote for Joe Biden is a vote to keep Trump out of office. That is exactly the Democrats' strategy. And in this video, I'm going to be predicting the 2024 election if Joe Biden wins. How many electoral votes he's going to get if he wins. And let's start off with the state of Nevada. I think Joe Biden's going to win Nevada in 2024, regardless if he wins or loses, by a tilt margin of around a percentage point. It may even get close as to less than a percentage point. This is a state where Biden won back in 2020 by 2%, and Hillary Clinton won it in 2016 by 2% as well. So Donald Trump, if you compare the state of Nevada 2016 to 2020 election, Donald Trump did not improve on his margin whatsoever at all. Hillary Clinton and Biden won it by the same margin. So considering that Trump did not improve on his margins in the state of Nevada from Hillary Clinton to Joe Biden, goes to show you that I think Nevada will vote for Joe Biden for a second time in a row. And I'm moving down south to the state of Arizona. If Joe Biden were to win the election, I do think that he will pull off the state of Arizona barely, just like how he did in 2020. Instead of getting it by maybe less than a percentage point, maybe he would get it over a percentage point. State, which is the polar opposite of Nevada. Nevada is when we're talking futuristic wise, a Republican trending state. But Arizona is the polar opposite. Arizona, when we're talking futuristic wise, is favoring Democrats, and it's soon to be a Democratic state. They recently just elected a Democratic governor. They re-elected Mark Kelly, Democratic senator. So the whole state of Arizona is pretty much in Democratic control, which it used to once be this Republican state. But ever since the Trump era, Republican voters just in Arizona specifically don't really like Donald Trump. And it's going to help Joe Biden. And as long as Donald Trump keeps talking trash about John McCain, Arizona Republicans will get offended and they won't turn out for Donald Trump, which is another reason why Biden won Arizona back in 2020, was because Trump bashing John McCain is not going to help him win Arizona at all. He needs to stop doing that if he wants to win Arizona. Otherwise, Biden's just going to win it again. And then even if Biden wins the election, I do still have Trump taking the state of Texas by a lean margin of probably roughly 5 percentage points. And surprisingly, a lot of Hispanic voters in the state of Texas actually are more conservative than people may think. And then same thing with the state of Florida. Florida, whether Biden or Trump wins, doesn't matter. It's going to be likely in a likely column for Donald Trump. This is a state that has abandoned the Democratic Party. They have shifted away in favor of Republicans. And ever since Trump took office in 2016, Republicans have gerrymandered. Ron DeSantis had made sure that Republicans would gerrymander the state to make it a red state. It once used to be purple back in the Obama era, but not anymore. For Georgia, even if Biden wins the 2024 election, I still think Trump is going to flip back the state of Georgia because the margin was just so small. I do think Arizona would vote to the left of Georgia. I think Georgia would vote more to the right than Arizona would. But I still do think Donald Trump would narrowly pull off the state of Georgia because I don't expect him to get the same amount of turnout from blacks that he did in 2020, but I still think it will be close if Joe Biden wins. Possibly with the endorsement of Taylor Swift, which actually comes with a Democratic strategy, maybe we'll turn out the youth voters in some of these key swing states. And the next state is the state of North Carolina. I think Biden's best case scenario is probably the 303 electoral votes he got in 2020, which I don't think he's going to crack 300 again. I think he got extremely lucky because Donald Trump was facing so much scrutiny, which I think this election 2024 is going to favor Trump more than it did in 2020. So I do think North Carolina would still vote for Donald Trump regardless if he wins or loses. But obviously, if Trump loses the election, North Carolina would be closer. Instead of a lean margin, it might be a tilt margin. And then now moving up to the Rust Belt, I think Ohio is going to vote for Trump with a likely margin regardless he wins or loses. It's pretty much a lost cause for the Democratic Party at this point. And Minnesota will probably vote for Joe Biden by a likely margin as well. This is a state that voted for him by 8 percentage points. This is a state that voted for Hillary Clinton. And Minnesota has not gone for the Republicans in a long time. Even Ronald Reagan couldn't even win this state. Ronald Reagan won every single state, but guess what? The one state he didn't win in his landslide was the state of Minnesota. That goes to show you how much Minnesota is favoring Democrats these past elections. Really, for the past few decades, for a long time, Minnesota has always voted to the left. And if Joe Biden does win the election, I do think he's going to get Wisconsin. Obviously, because if Joe Biden gets Arizona, he's obviously going to get Wisconsin. That would make no sense. As well as Michigan, I think he will win it by a lean margin of around 3 percentage points. I think the governor, Gretchen Whitmer, can possibly carry him to a victory. And if the Democrats run on the notion of save democracy, prevent Trump from winning, what the Democrats are probably doing is their strategy is a vote for Joe Biden is a vote to prevent Trump. Even if you're a Democrat and you don't like Joe Biden, if you still would vote for Joe Biden, you would keep Donald Trump out of the White House if you hate Donald Trump even more. And that's what the Democrats are trying to do to prevent Trump from beating Biden, because at this point, according to the polls, Donald Trump is favored to do so. So the Democrats are actually changing their strategy from 2020, and they're making adjustments because the 2020 election is completely different, like I mentioned earlier, from the 2024 election. I know it may seem the same because we have two of the same candidates, so it might seem similar, but I stated the differences. There's no COVID. You're not going to get the same amount of turnout among black voters. More third-party candidates, which is going to all favor Donald Trump. So the Democrats have to make adjustments to their strategy, and they are. They're trying to make sure they get high turnout among their own party, Democrats, because they know a lot of the undecided voters will not vote for Joe Biden again. They'll probably go third party, even though they might not vote for Donald Trump. And the last Rust Belt state is going to be the state of Pennsylvania. I think that will go to Joe Biden by a lean margin if he wins it in 2024, by probably around 2 percentage points. This is a state that went for him by, I believe, 80,000 votes in 2020. Main reason why he won it, and if he can win it again, he will probably get a lot of high turnout from the Pittsburgh suburbs, the Philadelphia suburbs, and Erie County was the tipping point county that helped Biden win Pennsylvania in 2020. The final state, the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire, their voters just don't like Trumpism. They just don't like Trumpy type of candidates. With that being said, I think they're going to reject Trump the third time in a row, like they did so in 2016, in 2020, and probably again in 2024. And it'll go to Joe Biden by a likely margin. So, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, if Joe Biden were to win the election, I do think he would get a little bit under 290 electoral votes, probably 287 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 251. Even though he still wins the election, it will be closer and more competitive than the 2020 election. So much for watching. Let me know if you agree with me that the Democrat strategy is to quote-unquote save democracy, and a vote for Joe Biden is a vote to keep Trump out of office. Let me know if you agree with that. And don't forget to subscribe, as we are approaching 1,000 subscribers. And let me know what you think on this map.